Good afternoon, and it's Lily and John here from Heal Scotland, and we are in Skye. It is just, you've probably seen all the photos and the videos. Oh my God, it is just so spectacular just now. So I wanted to grab John so that he can talk to you about his retreat, and obviously just a little bit about the land around Sligachan, which I'm just really been exploring this morning. It's just that it could not be a more perfect site for a healing centre. John, thank you so much for making this happen.
No, I, like I've said many times, I believe so much in what you do and your mission, and it's just great to be able to help out a little bit with that and provide a space that's in a pretty amazing location. And to be honest, as well as being excited at running my own retreat, I'm very excited to be surrounded by all these amazing folk who are coming to contribute over 2 months and to be a part of all of that and to learn so much myself. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit strange at being in the place I spent probably the first 12 years of my life, running around in puddles and bogs and swinging off trees. But yeah, it's going to be very special, very cozy. Hopefully it'll have some of the weather that we've had over the last 3 or 4 days, because it's been Skye at its winter best.
Oh, it's just spectacular.
Amazing.
I was like, oh, wouldn't it be a shame if I get snowed in here for another few days?
Worst things have happened.
Absolutely. The land is just, I mean, I've known that since I've been coming over the last year or so. The land is very special. And I always talk about the breathwork we did at the festival. It was just like, the land's got to be part of that as well. The energy is just crazy. Yeah. I was up the hill behind the Healin Centre this morning, and it's just absolutely magical. So we're very, very lucky. So let's talk about your actual retreat, because obviously a chef in the catering industry, your family used to own Sligachan. Can you tell me how many covers you used to do a day?
Probably 600 or 700 in a day. And I think I worked it out recently that I've been part of teams that have probably served well over 1 million plates of food on Skye over 20 years in the hospitality industry. To be honest with you, most of those plates of food nutritionally aren't what we really need to be providing folk as a nation, and that's probably what I've woken up to most in the last few years. Is we really need to be moving away from those kind of big mass numbers and focusing on really re-educating ourselves individually and in our communities to be able to thrive on the good stuff and move away from the stuff that tastes really good but isn't necessarily doing our insides much use.
My wee grandson said that. My son was saying, you need to stop eating that. I said, but why? Just because it tastes so good. And I thought, that's out of the mouths of babes, isn't it? Because we know the bliss point with the sugar, the salt and the fat. We actually know that these companies deliberately, if you read ultra-processed foods, hi Claire, you'll realise that they deliberately do it the way the tobacco industries used to do it. They want a customer for life, and they also obviously want children to get them early, and that's where they keep making the money. So we've been played, literally, haven't we?
Well, just listening to a podcast on the way up the road from work just now, I mean, it was the tobacco companies that bought these big food companies in the 80s. And I think stats will kind of show you that that's when the dominoes started falling and our health started massively deteriorating. But I don't think we can spend too much time worrying about everything that's gone wrong much longer and how to fix all those problems. We need to become what we think the future should look like. And I guess my retreat will be a little bit about that and trying to educate folk who want to learn a little bit more about preparing meals in their own house. We'll be doing a lot of cooking together, pickling things, fermenting a little bit as well, and talking about what to avoid. I think there's so much information out there about how to prepare food, and that's important. But I think people really need to start waking up to the things they should be missing out when they go to the supermarket, because these are the things that are dragging us all down collectively, and we need to start looking out for each other and and really knowing the score. So yeah, it's more about how do we create something new to take forward that can be a permanent fixture in our communities, instead of worrying too much about everything that's gone on in the past, because you can get lost in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the whole thing, isn't it? Let's drop the blaming, shaming and complaining.
Yeah.
We were played, most of us are realising that now, that why would poisonous food, toxic-laden food be cheaper than actual real food? It makes no sense. And if you listen to Vandana Shiva, it's because of the subsidies, and that comes from our government. It's mental. I just still never understand why your government wouldn't want everybody to be healthy, because surely money is the only thing they care about. If people are healthy, they'll be able to generate more money. It would seem.
Well, you'd have thought hundreds of years ago, when we were being attacked by our neighbours or whatever, the last thing you'd want is for an army to be marching on a stomach full of Cheerios or Honey Nut Loops or whatever. So yeah, it's so important that, if we want to thrive as a nation forever, we need to be doing it as well as we can be. And I've only really woken up to this in the last few years, and it was putting myself in a food truck that had me surrounded with a much better provenance of produce, and I consumed that, and you can't not feel a difference and not try and help others with it. And you don't want to be too pushy, and I think it's almost one by one that you need to talk to people about it and get them interested in it. So I really hope, I've not run a retreat on my own before. I hope a few of the Heal Scotland followers and others out with that want to take a wee chance and come up and just have a bit of fun for a few days. I think it's the 14th of January for 3 nights. Just have a little bit of fun and talk about things and learn a few new little skills that will become hopefully a fixture in your weekly diet. I think most of us in Scotland recycle the same 4 or 5 meals every week, and we need that diversity. We need a rainbow entering us every week, and we just need to talk about it. We need to do it as well. There's too much talk and not enough action, and I just want people to feel how the change that I've personally felt over the last few years. And once a few folk take a risk and make those changes, and maybe their loved ones see a little change in them, their loved ones will become curious and they'll maybe make similar kind of changes, and before you know it, things have really started changing. But yeah, that's my focus over the next wee while now, the next few years probably, is just to try and work with people and just know that there's a completely different reality and we can thrive, and it's just over there. It's not far away at all. We just need to take a chance.
I'll always quote you saying, that feeling better could be as little as a week away. Just making some small changes.
Yeah.
And I really like that idea, because I think that's tangible for people. Hi, Julie. So, and obviously working in the catering and hospitality industry, and particularly being a chef, you work in crazy hours, maybe not having the same time to, eating, because that's another thing, when do you eat? A lot of the time you're eating on the run, you're not sitting down having a really good meal. It's quite stressful feeding that amount of people a day. It's nuts, I can't even imagine it. So, that's what people in general are juggling. Is, I know when we do the intermittent fasting challenge, we talk about that, because people say, well, I'm on shifts, I can't do that, I need to eat here, I need to eat there. So that's the harsh reality, isn't it, of people's lives. Young kids, they don't eat everything, so you end up eating it.
Yeah.
That's what works. So it's finding ways to navigate the kind of and changing of habits. That's 100% what it's about.
Oh, totally. I mean, generally, like being in a kitchen, you wouldn't be finishing until after 9 o'clock, and you normally have made sure everyone else has been fed until you sit down and you sit on a step or something to eat whatever's left in a pan at the end of the night. And that was me for a long time. And it would, I'd have whatever was left at 9, 10 o'clock, and then I'd drive home. I'd probably grab a bag of sweets on the way home at the filling station, and then I'd have a couple of beers or maybe a bottle of wine And that was me every night until a couple of years, literally just a couple of years ago. And it's only within the last few months that I've been able to, cut off eating around about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, and then give yourself a couple of hours before you go to sleep. So you're kind of going to sleep in a stomach that's not just about to try and process a load of stuff, which isn't good for any of us. And it's great waking up the next day with a lot more clarity. But these are just that's just one of the small things that I really look forward to having conversations with people about during the retreat in January.
Now, your retreat's small, bespoke, 6 people, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
Because there'll be conversations going on all the time, isn't it? And I always say to people, we eat and we breathe, and we've even managed to complicate that and make it competitive, etc. Yeah. This vegans or keto, it's just like, no, just calm down and just tune into your body, work out what season it is, work out what's available for you to eat, and check in to your intuition, which is really where we all have to go, because what works for one person just doesn't work for another. So it'd be great that people can have that time eating together, which is obviously it's a thing that everybody loves to do, is eat. And most of us.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of friends that don't really rate it with the level of importance that I do, but most of us love to eat.
Yeah, and I think preparing it together as well. There's a therapeutic side to, to chopping veg or to making it yourself. There's a silence to it as well when you're kind of in there, perhaps doing it yourself a little bit. So we'll do that together, and that's the reason for the retreat being a bit smaller, is that there might not necessarily be too much space for a load of us to be cooking individually, with obviously in the same place and helping each other along. But we want people to individually learn how to make whatever it is we'll be doing. But generally, I mean, there'll be a bit of information to be taken in, and there'll be quite a lot of conversation, but I want it to be quite a quiet retreat as well, in terms of people having a bit of time to themselves, but also, I'll take everyone out for walks right beside where we stay, but not make it too intense. It needs to be quite slow and enjoyable. I've been part of a couple of retreats recently where there's been a lot of rushing around, and I don't think that's conducive to people learning much, but also going home and feeling like they're ready to take on the next few days, weeks and months. So
well, it's kind of the hibernation season, isn't it? That and that's the thing, we're held by the land, the log fires, the nourishing, warming foods, because that's because we can go to a supermarket now and get whatever we want at any time of year. We've sort of lost our connection to what's seasonal and what nature's providing for us or not, and that's where obviously pickling and fermenting and freezing stuff comes in. If the supermarket shut down, that's what we would have to do, is to preserve food in a variety of ways. Hi Susan, that would be great if you can come up. And Claire, exactly. The thing is that we've got all this technology here where we can really see what has entered into the energy system we call the body, and there is a lot of toxins and poisons, and regardless of why they're there, whether it's deliberate or whether it wasn't, let's not even go down that rabbit hole. It's still a case of we have to look forward. How are we going to change our own health trajectory? And a big part of that starts with the food. And you can come in a retreat and there's hundreds and thousands of them now, and they're all amazing, but you still go back into your own community. So we're looking at ways that we can really help in communities. I've spoken to school teachers about this before, and parents taking a bit more responsibility at home, and I know that's hard. It's really hard, but if we all do it together and try and get the sugar levels and the simple carbohydrates and the absolute shite out of the kids' diets, minimise it to certain times, then we can really make a huge impact. But it's kind of a collective effort. If we want to change the trajectory of Scotland's health picture, we're going to have to face this as communities, because community is immunity. And we're not talking about, you can't do this and you can't ever have fun and you can't ever have a beer or a glass of wine. It's not about that. All of these things are fine in moderation. And maybe if you're very sick, you have to cut a lot of things out for a while. But in general, most of us, it's about moving more, having more fun. I'm a big fan of the Ceilidh revivals, eating good food together, getting together like this and learning together. Our mission is educate, inspire, and then support. This is about education. Everything that you're going to learn at the Healin, you're going to have very practical tools to take home, and we want you to share them with everyone else. We're going to be streaming out a lot of the information live, so that people at home, people that maybe aren't well enough to travel or don't have the financial means at this stage to travel, so that everybody, it's going to be very, very inclusive. We need this information used to get handed down generation to generation quite organically. So that's the way we want to do it now, is that we share. You know, I'm not stealing your ideas, we're sharing ideas. You know, there's plenty to go around.
Yeah, I think what I see the 2 months in Skye being is hopefully a precursor to something bigger and more consistent. Initially in one part of Scotland, wherever that may be, but I believe that communities should have these centres that have a consistent, safe place for people to go in terms of food and drink that they can trust, knowledge that it's coming from the right place and there to assist them, and also like Lily was saying, these amazing contraptions that she's got that can show you how you're doing and monitor it, but also take you to another level as well, but over a consistent period of time. So that's what's really exciting about this, and hopefully there'll be a good few folk from Skye. I know there's already some signed up for some of the individual retreats, but it'd be great if as many of you guys on the island want to come and join us as possible. Just get in touch and let us know what you'd like to do, and we can let you know how you can be a part of it, because we want to engage with everyone locally.
Absolutely, and if money is an issue, just let us know that. We'll work out some kind of exchange. Please, if you feel drawn to come to this, just talk to us and let us know. So on the Heal Scotland, I'm not sure, we're getting a button on that's just specifically for what's happening up here, but if not, I'm going to share the link that you can look at all the different events. And what you can really do to help us is to share. We've got a raffle, we've got phenomenal prizes on the raffle. So it's a £5 a ticket. You can win a £500 voucher for the Healin. There's loads of other amazing different well-being prizes on there, and books, and it's so you can really help me by sharing the link as well, because the more money that we can raise, the more people we can help. And also when it comes to streaming out the live courses, and we can't stream everything, some of it's going to be private obviously, and but if it can be streamed, it will be. You can get together in your own house or your local centre or whatever and watch it all together. So make it a real social thing, because this is about us, the people in Scotland, taking action, changing our health trajectory, because the politicians aren't going to do it. They don't even have a clue anyway what real health is. They still think that it comes from drugs and surgery. We know now what 80% of it at least can be influenced greatly by our lifestyle choices. And a lot of that can be really fun. You know, talking to people, getting out in your community and actually meeting like face to face like this. You know, we just had some phenomenal events in Dalkeith. We've got another one in Luss on Sunday, where you get together with like-minded people that are willing, you know, to take action, because that's what we have to do. There is nobody coming to save us, unfortunately, and there's no pill that can fix decades of poor lifestyle choices and stress. I wish there was, but there isn't. So please check out, like, share, spread the word about this amazing 2 months that we're going to have here in this absolutely magical island. And then next year we want the mothership. We need a place. We need to have healing centres all over the country, and we need a mothership. So that's the message that's going out to the universe. So thanks, John. We're pretty much snowed in here, so we're going to try and get the cars down the drive now. So yeah, great to see you all. Please like and share.
See you soon.
Ciao.
Bye.